Keynote, who's he's very high maintenance. He said, "Oh my God, I need Evian water, and I need only green M&Ms." He's great.
Green M&Ms. I said yellow.
Yellow. Made a mistake. It's the yellow left. Go be found. So Aaron Newman, we've been friends, got at least 10 years, maybe more.
More than that, yeah.
Maybe more. Aaron is you're going to hear about his journey. So one category of Aaron is just massively successful, great startup entrepreneur, has done very, very well. And why I like Aaron so much is because he is just I'm going to say a humble, regular guy. And he's always very friendly. He's one of the few people that always takes my phone calls. Thank you for that. He's like, regretting that he took this one. But I also call another category of Aaron is I call him my G.I. Joe friend. He's been to Mount Everest. He's been to Antarctica, correct? He's been in the military. He climbs mountains, and now he's into really conquering the oceans. And you're going to talk about that a little bit. But so he is my explorer friend, my Mr. Adventure friend, and really living the life that I think most of us want to live. So thank you. Thank you for letting us live vicariously through you. But so we're going to start out where Aaron is going to tell us a little bit about his journey as an entrepreneur and how that's led into really creating this destiny and dream life that he gets to live now. And then Mark and I are going to come back up and ask him some questions. And then, of course, we're going to allow you to ask him some questions as well. Please stick around because at 7, we're doing a whole happy hour. We've got some great beer from Strangeburg, and we've got some great wine from Agnes. We've got some great food from, does everybody know Max from the Hideaway? So we've got some great food and drink and all that great stuff. So I hope you can stick around for that piece as well. So thank you. Without further ado, Aaron Newman.
Thanks, Dave. Kind of embarrassing, right? I said no to this at first, but then he begged me, so.
Sales.
Sales. It's sales. Thank you. I mean, listen, my journey, I grew up in upstate New York here around Binghamton, cow country, middle of nowhere. Went to SUNY Binghamton, now it's Binghamton University, but went down to New York City afterwards and worked for a couple of big companies and then started my own, worked for 2 years for somebody else and then started my own company. I just wasn't designed to work for somebody else, but started doing software companies, right? I had learned software on the job and then just started picking it up and built my first company, was at the right time, the right place. Somebody acquired it in 6 months. Not a huge but it was enough to fund my second one. So took all the money from that one, funded into the second one, ran that for 5 years, sold that. And I went through 4 times to the last one. And my last 2 startups were here in Rochester, New York. So, I mean, it is a good environment to start things. It used to be better before COVID, honestly, because you could hire software developers here for much cheaper than you could in Silicon Valley. COVID's kind of made that more difficult where everybody's working remote, so software developers make a lot more money here. So it's harder now, but my last startup was the company Cloud Checker. We started back in 2011, ran it for a decade here in Rochester and sold it to a company, NetApps, for $350 million. So that was the big win. Right time, right place. So Rochester, you can have big wins here, right? We have big Mastodon Designs is another startup nobody's ever heard of. Got sold to CACI for $220 million. So, there are a lot of opportunities here to build stuff, did that, but now I've kind of semi-retired. I've started to go into nonprofits, right? So my big thing is ocean exploration now. So it's been all around seeing and discovering what's under the water. So been down to the Marianas Trench, down to the Titanic, right? So that one that exploded the other day, a couple years ago, I was on that the year before it imploded. So, and knew a lot of the people down there. So I knew Stockton, was good friends with him, and PH engaged and everybody else on board. So when you push the limits, there are consequences if you mess up. So, but now doing any underwater exploration I can. This summer we have 8 interns from everywhere from RIT, places around the country, where we're doing shipwreck exploration in Lake Ontario. Right, so we have a huge, incredible maritime heritage here, probably the best in the country, because it's cold water and it's fresh water. The shipwrecks are preserved really, really well. So we have some side scan sonars, a boat, bunch of ROVs, underwater drones, and basically, with these students, we're just going out and surveying, searching for shipwrecks, documenting them, and then publishing them in the public domain. So that's my fun now. So I'm here to talk about whatever, startups. Like, I have my own philosophies and ideas. Again, I am, raw startups are interesting and they're different than like a big company. And it takes a lot of different characteristics to be successful, but go ahead. What do you want to ask?
So Aaron, I've got the first question, if I may. So when David mentioned you to me about this event, I think I came up with like 30 questions, and David said, you can't send them to him because scare them away. Because it's just such an interesting background. But I think my question is, so related to start a business for a minute, was your vision and goal always to build a business that then eventually was going to scale and you're going to have this massive exit? Or was it that you were just truly passionate about what you were doing and you were just kind of grinding, and then as time progressed, you grew this business and all of a sudden it became very valuable and you had a chance to kind of exit? So was that the pursuit, or was that not always the pursuit?
Well, so I was very fortunate. I was down in New York City, and one of the 2 years that I worked for somebody else, I worked for a startup that was, I saw what they did. Right? So, and I looked at it, and I walked in the office after working there for 6 months, and they got sold for $30 million. And I was like, this company doesn't have any clue what they're doing, and I was naive and young enough to say, if they could do this, why can't I do it? Right? And so saw what they did, and I tweaked things, I redid things, and went off, and I was just crazy and silly enough to do it. Right? And I think when you're younger, it's actually easier to do things, right? You don't have a risk, you don't have children, you don't have bills and things like that. I mean, I was 24, 25 at the time, and it's much easier to start that. And once you're 50, 53, it's much harder to say, I want to go take all this risk. So I saw what they did, and I said, I want to do the same thing, right? Why can't I do that? And just went off and did that. Started writing software, had one business partner. I always had one business partner when I started these companies, right? One person might be the tech company, one person is the business person, and just started cranking on it. Now, I can tell you, I've never built a business plan, never done any of the things that you're supposed to do. Right, so like one time they asked me to judge the business plan competition here in Rochester, and I said, I've never built a business plan. I think it's a horrible idea to build a business plan. So but that's my take on it. I don't want to upset anybody, but I think building a business plan is the wrong way to do it.
Ian just asked me for you to leave.
Right.
The question for me is that you seem to have a knack for looking around the corner, seeing what's next, and building a business around that. Can you tell us about some of the businesses that you've built, and you have some form of like predicting what's next?
Well, so I actually have taken the same gameplay and just keep reiterating over it. So I'm not particularly innovative, right? When I first saw it, I saw somebody else. So it's monitoring tools for businesses, right? Every time a new technology comes out, you're gonna have to monitor it, right? It's like the gold rush, right? When the gold rush came, it wasn't the people that did the gold that made the money, it was the people that sold the shovels. Right? So I kind of like that idea, right? And so every time a new technology comes along, I'm like, big companies need to monitor this. They need to report on it. They need to keep track of what's happening. And so, back in 1998, when I started my first company, it was around you have these databases in companies, and you had security, right? Security was just becoming relevant, computer security. Right? And I saw the company that I worked for that got sold was doing operating system security. Right? Monitor what hackers are doing to try to break into operating systems. I said, why don't I just do this for databases? Right? So it wasn't particularly innovative. It was just taking something I already saw and said, let's do a different spin on it and let's do it, right? So I did database security monitoring, right? Sold that. You know, the next company was around social, so social media was coming out. It was becoming very popular, but it was the early stage. I said, well, why don't we just monitor for big companies what happens in social media, right? And then when I sold that, then I said, blockchain is next. Right, that's the next new company. So I just said, let's monitor for big companies what's happening in social media, right? And then it was, you know, and like today, if I was to go out there, I tell you what, AI is the big thing. I'm not sure if I'm a big ad. I want to start with, are any of you people watching the Terminator movies? Do you see how this ends? You guys are inventing our master overlords. Please stop it, right? I'm not but if I was to start a company, I'm not sure whether AI, like AI, I wouldn't build an AI tool. I would build tools that monitor what's happening with AI, right? And
So why aren't you?
I've done enough startups. I don't need more work. I have things I want to do. The last thing I want to do in the world is start another company, right? I've already done it. I've done 4 of them. I want to go do things in the ocean and cool stuff, not sit behind a computer. I have, what do I got, 20 summers left? Right? Do I want to sit around and spend my last 20 summers programming, going to board meetings, talking to customers? That sounds awful. I want to go jump in the water and go swim with whales. I'm supposed to swim with orca whales in 2 weeks. Do I want to do that, or do I want to go to a conference in Chicago and talk about product?
Why do you think you're only going to live to 73? That's the question.
I don't, it's not an exact number, but you know, we're going to die. We're all dying. How many summers do you have left, and what do you want to do with them?
That's a great question. Right.
Right.
Aaron, another question that we had when we were talking a little bit about preparing for this discussion is that some people say, well, you know, find your passion, follow your passion, and then you never work a day in your life, right? That's, you know, so I've been kind of fortunate in sports business my whole career. I always loved sports. But the other one is, forget about your passion, go make as much, you know, money as you can, be a true entrepreneur, be a capitalist, and then use that to then fund your passion. So I guess maybe you've done the other thing, but what do you say to those philosophies? Because I know there are 2 different schools of thought.
You know, it's tough. If you want a job, you can go follow your passion. But following your passion is not how you build a big, successful company, honestly. Go find something that's really boring and nobody else wants to do, right? You know, because that's like everybody like, if I followed my passions, I'd run a dive shop, right? How much money do you think is in dive shops? Nothing. I mean, somebody will win, so you can't say nobody's going to win, but really, you know, it's much better to go find some mundane job building those covers that go on microphones or something that's boring, and that's how you build a big company, honestly. So, you know, yeah, listen, I'd love to go follow my passion, but realistically, like usually who says that? Billionaires that have already won, right? That's what they say. And I'm not to say somebody's got to win, so somebody will build build the best scuba company and made $100 million off of it, but most people that are starting following their passion, it's not the most lucrative path. So I'm a big believer in go do something really cool. Listen, is my passion monitoring, you know, transactions in a blockchain? No, that's not my passion. If that's your passion, have fun with it, but that's not really a passion. I mean, did I get satisfaction out of building software and doing sales and all that? Sure, but I don't know if that's my passion, right? So I don't know that I believe that. You know, and listen, you did very well doing it, following your passion. You know, if you like sports, go do something with sports, but it's not really a key to building a huge, successful company.
What's your favorite book?
My favorite book? What kind of question is that? My favorite book this year? My favorite book overall?
Just in general.
Oh, it's Born Not, what is it?
Built Not Born.
Built Not Born.
Built Not Born.
No. That's, I don't know I mean, listen, I'm a big endurance, so the Ernest Shackleton book, right? I'm a big believer. I love Ernest Shackleton, although at this point it's now cliche because everybody loves him. But, you know, I have the tattoo on my arm. Do you know who Ernest Shackleton is? Right? He's kind of, he was And he was like one of the explorers, an Antarctic explorer during the golden age of exploration, like in 1910, that type of period, where they went, and honestly, everything he did, he failed at, right? He tried to reach the South Pole, but was beaten by Amundsen. And then he was like, I'll try to cross, I'll be the first one to do a traverse of Antarctica. And he started there, and they got trapped a couple miles in. Ended up stuck in Antarctica for 2 years. And remember, Antarctica's pretty cold. There's nothing to eat. All you can eat is penguins.
Seal.
Right, and a leopard seal every once in a while, not the tastiest stuff. But they got trapped in Antarctica with 50 men. They had to eat their dogs. They had to, like, their ship got crushed. But they spent 2 years there, didn't lose a single man. Didn't lose a single person, right? So that is, for me, that's an example of leadership. Right, and that is all the business schools should teach the endurance and the story of leadership and how to people going. Really, nobody died. Versus there's the expedition in the north where they all ate each other, right? Trying to find the northeast traverse or whatever it's called. So it really is leadership. His leadership is what kept those people alive. So even though he failed everything he did, he's known today because of that. And they just recently, last year, they found his ship, the Endurance, at the bottom of at the Wendell Sea. So it's a really neat experience. But I have on my forearm Fortitudine Vincimus, which is Latin, and that's his family motto. Through endurance, we conquer. And that's what I think. What's the most important characteristic of a startup? It's not being the smartest guy in the room. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. It's not being, born with it. It's, all that helps. When your grandfather started the business, that always helps. But, it's grit, right? That's what a startup is about. It's just keeping going. It sucks, right? Like if you want to start a company, do you want weekends? If you want weekends, don't start a company. Right, it really is like a decade of just putting your head down and thinking about nothing, being obsessed with it, and just keep going. Right now, and you have to figure out how to pay the bills, blah blah blah. That's why it's easier to do when you're 24, not 54, because you got to spend a decade of not paying the bills, and you have to come up with the right idea. Right, every company I ever started was the wrong idea and pivoted to a better idea. So that's why I say coming up with a business plan and doing a market research and bouncing off people and I never did that. I always just said, here's an idea I think works, and then I start doing it, and you find out the hard way that it doesn't work, so you pivot it, and then you pivot a little bit more, and you keep pivoting, right? So that's how you do it. But it requires a lot of staying power, right? You have to be able to keep at this for years and years and years, and be smart enough to pivot to the right thing. Right, and
I have one more, and then we can maybe open it up, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there as well. But so maybe this is like a risk-reward question. And when they talk about starting a business or becoming an entrepreneur, there's inherent risk in that, and that's why a lot of people maybe shy away from that or don't endeavor to be an entrepreneur. But there's a lot of reward, right? So same question for you. Like some people are like, well, why the heck would you want to go to the Mariana Trench? A lot of risk in that. I'm sure there's a ton of reward too, or like visit the Titanic. There's people like, oh, I've seen the movie. So, what is it that drives you? And I know there's still a lot of exploration that needs to be done in the oceans and things. But what's the risk reward for both business and when you do?
I think there's calculated risk, right? I mean, the fact is, way I see the world is that going and working a job at paychecks for 25 years and then getting laid off, that's way riskier, right? Than starting your own thing and eliminating a lot of risk. Now, yes, it's risky because if you do it for 8 months, you put in $50,000 of your cash or your 401k into this, and then you quit, then it's kind of a failure, right? But I think it's even more risky is to just get plowed down in a business and your career and then being at somebody else's whim. Right, so so I always thought it was a calculated risk that you just have to keep going. Like you never lose until you stop, right? Right. Now, of course, if you're heading the wrong direction, then you're always going to lose. But you can head in the wrong direction and then turn and keep turning. And so, I don't think they're risky. right? I also thought the Titanic and the OceanGate thing wasn't very risky either, but so obviously I'm not.
There's different levels of risk.
Right. But I mean, prior to that, I mean, to be fair, prior to that, there had never been a hull implosion ever, right? So, you know, like it's hard to know what's risky and not risky, but I was lucky there, so, you know, thankfully. But, you know, I think the bigger risk in life is to go through life and not do anything, right? Just to work your job. I mean, you know, I don't want to depress anybody, but, you know, keep working your job, show up every day, collect your little paycheck, and make no difference in the world. Right, that's what you're doing. That's way more risky to me than rolling all the dice, pushing all your chips to the center of the table. I mean, you got to get real comfortable with just pushing all your chips to the center of the table, and that's all I know, and it takes a certain appetite to do that. But that's, you know, I think the bigger risk is dying and not having any cool stories, having made absolutely no impact on the world, and not having any have made a difference, not having improved the world. Way bigger risk.
Should we ask some questions? Anybody got any questions?
Yeah. I'll go.
The question for you is, when you had your first, or your cloud checker product, it's you and a couple guys in a room. How did you sell your first product when all you had to say was, these guys, me, and I've done something before? Who did you sell to and how did it go?
Right, so there's a lot of things there. So let me unpack. Let me start with Shackleton, right? You know, Shackleton is a hero of mine, but also he's an example of what not to do. Like Amundsen, if you know Shackleton and Amundsen nobody knows about. Every expedition he did was boring because he planned it out so well that he never hit the Shackleton scenario. Shackleton, on the other hand, did it totally wrong, didn't prepare well enough, and ended up, but he's the one everybody knows about. But the key to expeditions is to do it and not have any excitement at all. Because when you have excitement, that's because you messed up, right? So it's an interesting perspective to look at. Now your question, let's go back to your question. The hardest startup is your first, right? Everyone after that gets easier and easier because all of a sudden you have credibility. And like the first time trying to raise money for your first company, don't even bother. I mean, maybe you could do it, but I could not. I never raised any money for my first one. My second one was still very, very hard to raise money. And after your third and fourth, then people want to give you money, right? So, you know, honestly, I don't know how you do your first startup. I was in the right time, right place, picked the right thing, and somebody acquired it. And that was, you know, so that your first one is the hard one. So you have to really have a strong stomach for that first one. You have to fake it till you make it, right? I mean, and these are not stories that you know you should take to the bank, but like I think the first time, like for my first startup, it was me and my buddy. We were 26 years old. You know, ISS was a big internet security company, came to us and said, we're interested in your tool, we want to buy it. I said, yeah, okay, yeah, we have 20 employees, right? And then the next time we talked to them, well, actually, we only have 10 employees, right? And then by the time they were signing the deal, you know, I was like, yeah, there's only 2 of us, right? So, you know, do I advocate lying to people? No. Do I advocate exaggerating? Maybe.
Your installed base was?
I think we had 3 or 4 customers, right? But they didn't give us a lot of money. They gave us $1.2 million, right? Which is a lot of money for a 26-year-old. But it wasn't like that was, you know, I was done. That was a nice little, there's 2 of us. We split it $600K each. And we were lucky because we are locked up in stock. And their company quadrupled before I could sell it, because otherwise I would have just sold it. I was like, but this is 1999, 2000, the dot-com bubble. So I was in the right time, the right place, where the stock went up 4 times what I got it for. So by the time I could cash out, I would have cashed out immediately and taken the money. But instead, it was 4 times what I got it for, which was enough money to fund the second thing, right? So all of life is a lot of luck too, right? And of course, luck is opportunity, meeting with something or else. What is it? You know, right? So you have to be lucky, but you also have to put yourself in the right place. Like if I wouldn't have locked it up, maybe that money wouldn't have been enough to fund the next thing. So it does take a little bit of luck.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
So I'm on my first startup. and I can relate to a lot of what you're saying. What's the difference between endurance and grit? And maybe I should quit. And then my second question to you is, not saying that I want to quit, by the way, just questions that maybe one thinks about when you start your business. And then the second question that I have for you is, when do you think that as a founder, when you're obsessed, sometimes you let go of your health, right? You start eating shitty things, et cetera, et cetera. How tied do you think is the founder's health in terms of physicality and success of that startup? Those are my two questions.
Okay, I'll start with, I have a scale of my weight, right? And every time I start a company, I gain 40 pounds. And then when I sell it, I lose 40 pounds. So that's the reality. You want a work-life, so they talk about work-life balance. In startups, there's no such thing. You have to be completely obsessed with it. And there's just if you're gonna have a work-life balance, then it's just not gonna happen. So, that is the right way to do it. Now, and it is difficult because I see people going in the wrong direction. And listen, you can go in the wrong direction for 10 years, you won't find success. But just be able to pivot. And you don't want to thrash around. There's a fine line between thrashing around and knowing when to pivot, right? So just be smart, listen to people, listen to your customers, have that staying power, and keep at it, right? And, you're young. So do it while you're young because, if you're 45, it becomes a whole different game, right? You're not gonna be able to do that. But just stick it out and but be smart about it. Don't just head in the wrong direction. There's a brick wall in front of you. Don't just bang your head against the brick wall. Figure out, you're gonna bang your head against it. Figure out how to get to the edge of that and go around it. But come up with a good, just keep pivoting your ideas and eventually it'll happen. So, well, that was your one. Did I answer the two questions? I think so. Yeah.
Basically, it's okay to gain weight while you're starting. Believe it or not, that makes me feel great. And the second thing is, learn how to squirt and bang your head enough times, but try to find a solution eventually.
I mean, when I started my first company, I was, again, 26 at the time, but, I would work till 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I would sleep for 4 hours. I'd wake up at noon and be back to writing software. And I think about at 4 o'clock in the mornings, I'd go to, I think there's a D'Agostino's downstairs, and I would get a 2-liter Coke and a chocolate cake, and I'd bring it up and I'd eat it. This is horrible, right? I don't know how I'm not dead. But you're just exhausted and you want some kind of, I don't know, what do you call that, that you get by eating chocolate cake? Endorphins, right? And I would just eat the whole damn thing and then just chug the Coke and go back to working. And yes, is this healthy for you? Is this what you want when you sign up for a startup? If you don't think that's an okay thing, don't find a job.
It's like Diaries of a Startup over here.
I see your interest in exploring the deep sea. Do you have any business ventures related to that?
No, I don't want any business ventures. I don't want to sound arrogant, but I've made enough money. My goal is to spend all my money before I die, right? The goal of everybody should not be to die and have a bunch of money. Go spend it. Even if it's spending on, we all should die penniless. That's my goal. My kids are taken care of. They're happy. They don't require that much. But my goal is to die and to just spend it all before then. And even I don't know, I hope Golisano's not listening, but I think his goal should be to spend everything before he dies. What's the point of dying with $10 billion? What a waste of fun. Go do fun, amazing stuff with that. Change humanity, right? What's your effect on the world? Leaving behind a big check? That's horrible. That's a sad way to die. Go change the world and do amazing things.
I just wanted to ask, specific to your maritime exploration, what's some of the coolest things that you've seen, specifically marine life? Have you seen any crazy sunfish or anything like that?
Yeah, now I gotta think. I mean, the biggest thing I've done, so the Marianas Trench, So the 24th person to get to the Marianas Trench. So that was pretty neat. There's nothing down there. It's completely just a mud bottom. I think we saw like a rock and we're like, oh my God, look at a rock. Right? Completely not cool, but the science behind this tech is amazing. The amount, you're in a titanium sphere that can withstand, that is basically 1,100 atmospheres. So it's 1,100 times 15 pounds per square inch. So if you do the math, it's basically you're a titanium sphere that's holding millions and millions of pounds, right? So did the Titanic, so saw the stern of the Titanic. That was pretty neat to see. You know, I've seen lots of, like, they have little, they call them ratfish down there, not a very good name, and little crustaceans, amphipods, all kinds of stuff. So, you know, swimming with orcas in 2 weeks from now, so that's my big trip I'm very excited about. You know, I've done archaeology where, you know, I've worked with archaeologists, excavated 2,000-year-old Roman ships and pull up amphoras that haven't seen sunlight in 2,000 years, right? And I'm not a scientist, but I'm a citizen scientist. I go and help fund things, help actually go be involved. So those are the type of, I think, cool, fun things that I've seen and done. So, but I have a lot more, right? So I'm just getting started. I'm trying to acquire a submersible that would, and go down and do this stuff, working with, you know, helping fund a submersible Pisces 6, which has a 2,000 meter capability. And, you know, in July, we're counting angel sharks at 500 meters down, doing whatever we can. So yeah, I'm just getting started though, but yeah, I got to spend all this money in the next 20 years, because apparently I'll be dead at 73, so.
We have another question over here. Go ahead.
So that kind of gets to my question. I'm 57, but I'm going to live 40 more years. And I'm just starting my business. But I see a parallel between the 24-year-old and the 54-year-old. It's fearlessness. And that's where I think I am now, and I think you're kind of there again. You had fearlessness when you started your business, and you didn't think about the risk and the consequences. You just did it, and you're doing that now. You're just doing it in a different arena.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, right? I mean, you know, and I don't know if fearless is the way I put it, but certainly with like this nonprofit, like I said, we have 7 interns that I've hired, and, you know, so I look at the government, right? You know, I think the government is so inefficient. Like, we have NOAA that's created this marine sanctuary up on the Great Lakes. Everything west of Monroe County is now a marine sanctuary, NOAA Marine Sanctuary. And they're sending out a boat to do surveying of some of the wrecks. And they have a 15-person crew that are all professionals. They have $1 million ROV. They have a 100-foot boat. I'm out there with my 25-foot boat and 7 kids who are throwing ROVs that cost $3,000, which is a lot of money, but it's not $1 million ROV, into the lake, recording stuff, putting it on a website, right? Like, you know, I'm a true believer in government just doesn't do things efficiently, right? So you as an entrepreneur can do, like, I'm trying to apply my entrepreneurial skills where you have a shoestring budget, and you can make things happen so much faster than the government or a big company. So if you're competing against a big company, just be nimble, just be fast, and you could beat big companies. Like, I would look at, how do you beat a Microsoft, right? They have hundreds of billions of dollars. You just have to be nimble and quick and think faster. You know, big companies can't innovate. So yes, I mean, you shouldn't not, because you're 57, right? Go after it. But I'm at this point in my life, I'm like, I don't want another startup. I want to go do nonprofit ocean exploration. I want to jump off the side of a boat and go map the bottom of the ocean. That for me is my new startup. So I'm doing startups too. Yeah.
Love it. I think that's it, because we're gonna wrap up here. First of all, that was awesome. Big
Thank you.
round of applause.
Thank you. Come with me. Come out on the boat with me, and let's go find some
Let's do it.
shipwrecks.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Big round. I mean, this is Mark's event. I was.
No, it's-
What was I? The eye candy you said. I mean, but Mark, this is his third event. He said, "Hey, you want to help me this year?" And it's been a great time.
Great job.
So-
Thank you for helping.
So much fun and doing such great things for the community. If you haven't been to a soccer game in Rochester in forever, a year, please go and support the Flower City Union soccer team.
Yeah.
And opening night is Saturday. Is that right?
We had it last Saturday, and there's a women's game this Saturday, Flower City 1872, and we're going through end of June, so come out and see us.
Yeah.
But no, Aaron, thank you so much for your time. I want to say thank you to all the sponsors that are here, and you guys stayed the whole time, so thank you. Please interact, please engage. I know they all have great support services. John, you and Ian and the entire Golisano Institute staff here, thank you. They're all staying much after hours here, so we got to say thank you to them. And of course, thank you to all the attendees. So we'll be sending out a survey. You're going to get 2 free tickets to go to a Flower City Union game if you haven't got them already when you checked in. And now we got the fun part, right? We've got a little networking. We've got some Strangeburg Flower City Union beer. We've got Agnes Flower City wine. There's some other refreshments and goodies back there. Thank you to Rockvox. Scott, thanks for everything you did filming these sessions. So yeah, just a round of applause for Aaron once again. I also want to call
Where's Gina? Where are you, Gina? I see you.
Oh, is she here? Yeah, Gina.
Gina. So Gina is a student here, and I'm not seeing her yet, or maybe she's.
She left.
Yeah, maybe she's. Oh, there she is. Come running up.
Oh, hi.
Gina, come on up quickly. So Gina is a student here. I want to put her on the spot. She wasn't expecting it. But Gina's, and she's actually started a business. And so who doesn't love cannoli? Like us, right? Everybody loves a nice cannoli, right? And if you're, you probably have heard of a pizzelle. Those great little cookies, a pizzelle. Well, Gina's so Italian, she put those two together and created a pizzole. So imagine a pizzelle that is the shell of a cannoli. And you don't even have to imagine it. You could try it right over there. And shameless plug, you can hire her for your catering needs too. So she's a student here, started a real business, and making it happen. So thank you for making it beautiful.
What else? Oh, thank you. Well, also, thank you to my wife in the back and my daughter Natalie. They're the greatest unpaid interns. So, thank you. And no, thanks again for everybody coming out. Really appreciate it. And hopefully you had a good time and you learned and networked and all the above. So, but thank you, Aaron, once again. Really, that was great. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. And yeah, thanks for making the microphones work. We appreciate it.
Yeah.